Hello everyone and welcome back. This time we are going to discuss possible questions that would be asked during your final research defense and answers that you can give in order to address these questions. Ano-ano ang mga tanong na maaari, malaki ang posibilidad na lumabas sa inyong research defense, specifically sa final research defense ninyo, at papaano dapat ito sagutin at saan dapat kunin yung mga sagot dito sa mga tanong na ito. So join me in my discussion for today, and before we continue, please help my YouTube channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell to alert you when a new video has been uploaded just like this one. And you will see suggested and recommended videos in my YouTube channel that will help you in writing the different parts of your research from chapters 1 to chapter 5, including preparations, coaching for your research defense. Kasama din po dito ano yung mga dapat nyong ilagay kapag kayo ay gagawa o maghahanda ng PowerPoint presentation ninyo para sa inyong defense. Ulitin po natin, this particular discussion will focus on questions that may be presented during your final research defense. With this in mind, we are going to focus, most of the questions will be focused on the last 2 chapters of your study. Remember last time, if you are writing a research proposal, usually kapag sinabi nating research proposal, yung first 3 chapters lang. Chapter 1, 2, and 3. Chapter 1, the problem and its background. Chapter 2 is RRLS, review of related literature and studies. And chapter 3 is the research methodology. And then together with that, supposed to be kasama yung tinatawag nating research instrument ninyo. Some of the questions that we will be presenting today will also include parts of the first 3 chapters. Pero karamihan, kukunin, lalabas doon sa chapter 4 and chapter 5, which is supposed to be focused doon sa tinatawag nating findings of your study, since this is already the final defense of your research. So let's start. The first one is, if you are asked the question, what is the findings, or what are the findings of your study? What are the findings of your study? Ano ang mga nalaman ninyo, natuklasan ninyo sa inyong pag-conduct ng research? So obviously, if you are familiar with the last 2 chapters of your research, enumerate muna natin. Yung chapter 4 ninyo, yung acronym niya is PAID, P-A-I-D, para madali nyo matandaan, ma-recall ninyo kapag kayo ay naitanong o may tanong na may kinalaman doon sa chapter na yon. Madali nyo ma-identify kung saan chapter. Ang ibig sabihin ng PAID or PAID is Presentation, Analysis, Interpretation of Data. So lahat ng mga tanong na may kinalaman doon sa Presentation, Analysis, Interpretation of Data, aware na kagad kayo, alam nyo na kagad kung saan nahanapin na sa chapter 4 na kayo. Because from time to time, you will be asked to explain, and you do not necessarily need to memorize all of the content of your research. I am already going to tell you, wala namang nagde-defend na totally memorize niya cover to cover yung kanyang research. With this in mind, yes, yung answer o yung sagot doon sa tanong ninyo, sir, pwede bang humawak ng manuscript during the defense? Yes. Pwede nyong hawakan ang manuscript ninyo during the defense. But I discourage you to read directly from the manuscript. Okay, so we've already presented the title for chapter 4. Chapter 5 is the summary of findings. 3 part yung chapter 5. So para madali nyo din matandaan. So chapter 5 is entitled the summary of findings. That's the first part. Conclusion, recommendation. So again, with this in mind, alam nyo na kagad kung ano yung label nung dalawang huling chapter o dalawang huling kabanata ng inyong research. Madali kayong makakalipat-lipat Nandito yan sa chapter 5 kasi conclusion yung tinatanong. Anong ibig sabihin nitong value na ganito sa table ninyo? Nandito yan sa chapter 4. Nasa analysis yan ng mga tables ninyo. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin ng ganitong value na nandun sa table niyan? Anong interpretation? Nasa chapter 4 yon. Part yun ng analysis and interpretation. So that's what that's my goal. Why I presented sa inyo yung palang heading ng bawat chapter para alam niyo kung paano kayo magsuswitch, magta-transfer from one chapter to another chapter. Going back to the first question, the findings of your study. What are the findings of your study? Now, after presenting to you yung mga labels ng chapter, where will you look for the answer for this particular question? Alam nyo na kagad, it's found or located in chapter 5. Kasi ulitin natin, ang chapter 5, the summary of findings, conclusion, and recommendation. So, tinatanong ng panel ninyo, ano ang natuklasan ninyo? If you are already familiar with the result of your research, alam nyo na kahit papano, medyo kabisado ninyo, by all means, sabihin nyo na kagad. Now, be careful. If you present the findings of your study, number one, remember, you have to present whatever is reflected in the statement of the problem. Kung ano ang nasa SOP ninyo, yun lang ang bibigyan nyo ng findings ng inyong research. So the opposite of this is do not divert, do not go beyond kung ano yung nakaset sa SOP ninyo. So halimbawa, ang SOP number 1 is the level of preparedness of teachers. Yun yung SOP number 1 ninyo. Ang findings ninyo, i-present ninyo kung ano yung level of level of preparedness doon sa findings ninyo. Di ba? Ulitin natin kung ano yung SOP, yun ang i-present ninyong equivalent na findings ng SOP ninyo. Wag na wag kayong magdadagdag na hindi naman kasama doon sa nakareflect sa SOP ninyo. Now, the SOP is the bridge. The bridge that fills the gap between the title and the findings of your study. So, lahat yan, majority of the parts, lahat ng parts ng research ninyo are reflected, relevant, and connected with each other. So, ang title ninyo, from the title, you're supposed to formulate your SOP, and from the SOP, you're going to present your findings. Actually, from the SOP, dun nyo din dapat pagbabasihan yung instrument ninyo. So, again, I'm just making this illustration para makita ninyo, stick to where your SOP directs you. Okay? Kaya napakahalaga ng SOP na talagang aligned siya doon sa research title ninyo. Kaya palaging ini-screen, tinitignan ng mabuti, yan bang mga SOP ninyo ay masasagot itong objective ng research title ninyo. Anyway, so that's how you answer the findings of the study. Refer to chapter 5 of your manuscript and then try to present the findings according to the SOP sequence or presentation of your manuscript. So that's number 1. Okay. So number 2, what recommendations, based on the findings that you presented, what recommendations were you able to make for this particular study? What recommendations did you make based on the findings of the study? Ano-ano yung mga recommendation na inyong ibinigay base doon sa findings ng study ninyo? Recommendations are based on the findings of the study. So, this is discussed kapag nagsusulat kayo ng research. Ang recommendation, hindi pwedeng basta-basta kayo nagre-recommend. Dapat nakabase siya kung ano yung nalaman nyo doon sa research ninyo. So anyway, our objective today is how you should answer and where you should look for these answers if you were asked during your defense. So, what are the recommendations of your study? So, this can be found and this should be found in the last chapter of your research, which is chapter 5, Summary of Findings, Conclusions, and Recommendations. But, before you present, again, another reminder, before you present the recommendation of the study, make sure you have the following. Number 1, your recommendation should contain the action that you want to be implemented. Ano ang ipinapagawa ninyo doon sa recommendation? Meron dapat action to conduct seminars, to conduct faculty development, to conduct summer training, summer remedial programs, and so on and so forth. Those are actions, concrete actions sa recommendation. The second element dapat ng recommendation ninyo is that it should contain the entity, whether it's a person, organization, department, or institution. Sino ang gagawa ng action? So sa recommendation, meron kayong pinapagawa. Tapos yung pangalawang element sa recommendation, sino ang gagawa nitong action na ito? So make sure that these elements are included. And third, medyo parang bonus na ito. Okay? So the third consideration that you should take when presenting the recommendation is that make sure that the recommendation is taking a diplomatic approach or diplomatic presentation. So paano ito? The way you present the recommendation, wag autocratic. As much as possible, personally, this is my advice, wag kayong gagamit ng mga terms kagaya ng should. The principal should, the teacher should, instead, gumamit kayo ng may. The school may, the principal may, the teachers may. Okay? May is optional. So, pwede nilang i-take, pwedeng hindi. Yung should, kailangan gawin nila. So, that's what I mean by your approach. So, I would advise you to take the other one, which is yung democratic and diplomatic, para hindi ka parang nagbibigay ng utos kagad, para merong option kung sino man yung pinagbibigyan mo ng recommendation. So you can double check your recommendation if they are aligned dito sa mga sinabi natin. So that's question number 2. Question number 3. What method did you use in your research and why did you use these methods? So, the method of the study, dito babalik na tayo. Medyo babalik kayo ng isang chapter. The method of the study can be found in chapter 3. Okay? The method of the study can be found in chapter 3. Okay? So, in chapter 3, in the initial part of your chapter, dinidiscuss doon ano yung method na ginamit ninyo. With this, you can also present the design of your research. So the methods can be either quantitative, qualitative, mixed method. Mixed method is also hybrid method or quanti-quali. Ulitin natin, yung tatlong term na yon, mixed method, quanti-quali, hybrid method are all the same. And then yung independent na quantitative method, qualitative method. And again, we are not going to specifically dwell into the specifics. Anong quanti, anong quali. So, i-discuss natin saan makikita yung sagot kapag ito yung tinanong. So, tinanong ano yung method, ano yung design. So, ang ginamit nyo is quantitative, descriptive, and then experimental. So, quantitative, experimental, quasi-experimental. So, that's the method and the design kung yun yung ibibigay kong sagot. And then, itatanungin ako, why did you use that particular method and design? Why quasi-experimental? You justify, explain ninyo, rationalize ninyo. So, you have to be familiar with the research that you are conducting. Kasi kung hindi nyo talaga alam, hindi nyo siya may re-relate doon sa method at saka doon sa design. So, yung sinabi ko, experimental, quantitative, quasi-experimental, and then 2 groups. I would present it like this. Ma'am, sir, because I would like to test if this teaching strategy is effective or not. That is the reason why I chose experimental or specifically quasi-experimental under the quantitative method in order to test this particular teaching strategy. Okay? Ganun lang kasimple. So, alam nyo kung saan hanapin, alam nyo kung ano yung i-present, ano yung method, ano yung design, and then, i-justify ninyo. Yung justification, kailangan pag-isipan ninyo. Kung ito ay tinanong, i-simulate ninyo, bakit nga ba ito yung method na ginamit namin? Bakit ito yung design na ginamit namin? Kung yan ay correlation, you're trying to find the relationship between two variables. Okay? So, that's correlation. So, doon sa premise na yon, sa idea na yon, doon nyo ipapaliwanag. Okay? So, identify nyo na anong method, anong design, tapos isipin nyo na bakit ito yung design na ginamit namin. Ma-identify nyo kagad yon. Okay? So, that is question number 3. Question number 4. The data gathering procedure. Can you describe to us the process of how you gather data? Data gathering procedure. Ano yung proseso na pinagdaanan ninyo para makolekta ninyo yung data na ginamit ninyo sa inyong research? Where are you supposed to find this part? This can be found in chapter 3. Okay? Again, this part of the question, which is data gathering procedure, can be found in chapter 3. Ano dapat yung laman nito at paano nyo ipipresent? This is narrative. Ano yung narrative? Pag sinabi nating narrative, ikukwento nyo lang yung proseso nung pag-gather nyo ng data. Literally, tell the story behind the process of gathering data. Anong una nyong ginawa? Bago kayo makapag-gather ng data, magfo-form kayo ng instrument. Ikukwento nyo yun. After forming the instrument, anong ginawa ninyo? Ipapa-validate nyo yung instrument. Ikukwento nyo yun. Sino nag-validate? Ilan yung validators? And then, after the validation process, yung distribution na ng instrument. Paano nyo dinistribute? Di ba? And then, pagka-distribute ninyo, paano nyo kinolect yung instrument? And then, after that, that's already the, when you've already collected the instrument, that's already the end of the data gathering process. Okay? So, ganun lang. Narrative lang ang data gathering process. And you can refer back to chapter 3 para malaman ninyo. Nandun yung proseso eh. Naka-label doon. May mga heading doon. Okay? Yung construction ng instrument, description ng instrument, yung validation, and so on and so forth. Okay? So that is found in chapter 3 of your manuscript. The next question number 5. So sabi natin kanina, yung question number 4, data gathering procedure. Yung question number 5, what is the instrument that you use? And why did you use this instrument? Hindi ka naman nila pwedeng tanungin, bakit ganyan kayo mag-gather ng data? Not unless there's something unscrupulous and questionable doon sa pagkukwento nyo ng data gathering. Pero dito sa instrument, tatanungin kayo, anong instrument ginamit nyo? And bakit ito ang instrument na napili ninyo? So, I'm going to continually use the example that I gave earlier. So, ang ginagawa kong research, sabi ko kanina, is quantitative, experimental, or quasi-experimental. Kasi meron akong gustong i-test na teaching strategy. Ano ngayon ang instrument ko? Ang instrument ko, ma'am sir, my instrument is the pre-test and post-test that I will use in order to measure the intelligence or learning gain of the students, pre-test and post-test. So this is the most appropriate test for experimental research because again, I would like to identify if the students' learning gain increase during the implementation of the strategy that I'm testing. So ganun din yung sa inyo. If we're going to divert into another type of research which is halimbawa quantitative descriptive, and you're looking for the effects of a particular issue, ang gagamitin yung instrument is survey questionnaire, then sabihin nyo, the instrument that I use for my study is a survey questionnaire because this is the most appropriate form of questionnaire for this type of research that I am conducting based on the method that you used. Okay, the method and the design of the research that you use. So, ang instrument ninyo ay nababatay kung ano yung method and design na ginamit ninyo sa research ninyo. So, all you need to do is just to present. Sabihin nyo, ito po yung ginamit ko at ito po yung appropriate. And you can even present the definition for that particular instrument because from the definition, minsan nakalagay doon yung justification niya. Okay? So, it will support your claim. Okay, next. Question number 6. Population. Sino ang population? Sino ang respondents? At anong sampling method ang ginamit ninyo? Population, respondents, and the sampling method. So, population of your study refers to the totality of your respondents. While the respondents is the sample that you take from the population, which represents the totality. So, yung respondents, yun yung maliit na bahagi ng population ninyo. And then, yung sampling method, yun yung paraan kung paano nyo kinuha. Now, balik ulit tayo doon sa objective natin. Saan makikita itong population, respondents, and sampling method? Again, this can be found, should be found in Chapter 3 of your research. So, dito, i-describe doon sa chapter 3 sino yung population ninyo, ilan yung population, ilan yung naging respondents, nasa chapter 3 yan, and then itatanong din sa inyo, paano nyo kinuha yung sample, yung respondents ninyo, paano nyo kinuha yung sample doon sa population. So you have to present, meron ba kayong formula na ginamit, meron ba kayong process na ginamit in order to identify the sample from the population? I-present nyo lang yun. I-present nyo lang, sabihin nyo lang, ma'am, na-identify po namin kung sino yung sample namin or yung respondents namin by using this particular formula. Okay? So, after that, paano nyo pinili yung mga respondents ninyo from the population? Okay? So, halimbawa, ang population ninyo is 1,000, tapos ang pinili nyo na lang is 100. Paano nyo pinili yung 100? Ang tawag natin doon is the sampling method. The sampling method identifies the process kung paano nyo pipiliin yung mga respondents o yung sample ninyo. Again, nasa chapter 3 yon. So, ang halimbawa ng mga sampling method ninyo can be classified into two, probability and non-probability. Depende kung quantitative or qualitative yung ginagamit ninyo. And ito siguro yung mga naririnig ninyo pagdating sa sampling method. Yung simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, purposive, at ano pa. So those are the common sampling methods that are usually used sa pag-identify ng respondents or sample from a population. So this is what we call the sampling method that you use. So anong gagawin ninyo? Sabihin nyo lang anong ginamit ninyo, then define ninyo paano ginagawa itong sampling method, and then that's it. Okay? And then the next one is number 7. Question number 7. The limitation of your study. What were the limitations of your study? So, saan makikita ang limitation of the study? Medyo malayo. Nasa chapter 1. Chapter 1, under scope and limitation of the study. So, again, if you are asked, what is the limitation of your study? Go to chapter 1. Under chapter 1, you have scope and limitation. Ano yung limitation? Ito yung mga exclusions. Ibig sabihin, hindi na isama sa study ninyo. Hindi na isama dahil may mga bagay na hindi nyo kontrolado, yun yung dahilan kung bakit hindi nyo na naisama itong mga elements na ito sa inyong study. Okay? That's what we call limitation. There were factors beyond your control, hindi nyo na nagawa ng paraan dahil talagang kagaya ng pandemic, wala tayong magagawa doon, kaya hindi nyo nagamit lahat ng respondents. Therefore, kung sino yung na kuha ninyong respondent, sila na lang yung ginamit ninyo. So this is an example of a limitation of the study. Ulitin natin, it is supposed to be based doon sa mga factors na hindi nyo kontrolado. So again, this is found in chapter 1. Now, in relation to limitation, meron kasing term na ginagamit din, delimitation of the study. What is the delimitation of your study? So what is the difference? Dinefine ko kanina yung limitation, di ba? Ang delimitation naman ay yung mga bagay na hindi nyo isinama dahil sa mga bagay na justifiable. So, ang delimitation of the study is based on the decision of the researcher. So, halimbawa, kulang ng budget, kulang ng resources, then because of this, you were not able to include all of the respondents for this particular study. Kasi baka questionin kayo, bakit ito lang yung ginamit ninyo? So, you just include that doon sa either limitation or delimitation of the study para magiging defense nyo din yan. Just in case the question comes up, bakit sila lang? Bakit ito lang? Okay? Make sure you maximize the use of this part of your research, which is limitation and the limitation of the study. Again, ulitin natin for the last time. This is found in chapter 1 of your manuscript. The next, question number 8, validation. Can you tell us how you validated your instrument? How did you go through the validation process? Okay, ano ang validation process? Maraming types and forms ng validation process. But the most common is the content validation, and usually ito yung pinapagawa. Okay? Content validation is conducted by experts. So, dun muna tayo. Saan makikita yung validation? Ang validation ninyo can be found in chapter 3 of your manuscript. Validation is found in chapter 3 of your manuscript. So basically, kapag alam niyo yung mga parts ng bawat chapter niyo, alam niyo na kagad kung saan niyo titignan, bubuksan yung manuscript niyo. So ano yung validation? Validation is done on the instrument that you used for your study. So ulitin natin, chine-check nito kung content validation ang ginamit niyo, the appropriateness of the questions. Appropriate ba yung mga tanong na nasa instrument, and aligned ba ito doon sa SOP ng inyong research? Yun ang trabaho ng tinatawag nating expert or validator. Kasi tatanungin sa inyo sino ang nag-validate ng instrument ninyo? Ang sagot doon ay experts. The validators of our instrument are experts. We included 3 experts in the field related to the study that we are conducting. Ibig sabihin, dapat kung ang study ninyo may kinalaman sa pagtuturo ng mathematics, ang mga experts or validators ninyo related doon sa field or area na yon. Either head teacher ng mathematics, mathematician, statistician. Okay? So these are the qualifications of what we call experts for validation ng instrument ninyo. Ang instrument, didiscuss lang ako ng konti. Ang instrument ninyo ng inyong research can either be classified into 3. Okay? Number 1 is researcher-made instrument. Ginawa ng researcher based doon sa SOP niya. Itong researcher-made, kailangan dumaan sa validation. Kasi baka tanungin kayo, anong instrument ginamit nyo? Ma'am, kinuha po namin sa study ni ganito. Paano nyo ginawa yung validation? Tapos kinuwento mo yung validation. Which is not correct. Kapag meron kayong pinagkuhaan ng instrument, ang tawag natin doon, hindi researcher made. Kasi may pinagkuhaan kayo Which is valid naman, ipagpaalam nyo lang doon sa owner ng instrument. At dapat parehong-pareho noong areas na ginagawa nyo sa inyong research. If that is the case, meron kayong ginamit na instrument na galing sa ibang study, that is what we call a standardized instrument. Ang standardized instrument does not need to go through validation. A standardized instrument does not need to go through validation. Kasi nagamit na yan, And because of that, ang understanding natin is pina-validate yan. Pina-validate na gamit and natapos na yung research. That is a standardized instrument. You can use that. Don't worry, hindi kayo makakasuhan ng plagiarism if you follow the procedure or ethical procedure, which is ipagpaalam ninyo doon sa owner ng instrument na yon. Email nyo sila, sulatan nyo sila, as much as possible, wait for their response. Okay? Ulitin natin, kapag yan ay researcher-made, kailangan yun dumaan sa validation. Kapag yan ay standardized instrument, no need for validation. Ano yung pangatlo? This is what I call the modified standardized instrument. Modified standardized instrument. I don't even know kung nandyan yan sa browser kapag ginugel ninyo. Okay? Ano yung modified standardized instrument? Standardized instrument, pero may mga parts doon na hindi appropriate sa research ninyo. So, halimbawa, kalahati is aligned with your research. Okay lang yun. Pero nakita nyo yung kalahati, hindi. Nako, you have to modify that. So, kailangan baguhin mo. Binago. Will it still be required? Required pa rin ba sa mga researcher na ipa-validate? The question is it still a standardized instrument kapag may binago ka? The answer is no. Kasi may minodify ka na. So what should you do? You have to go through validation. You have to go through validation if you use a standardized modified instrument or a modified standardized instrument. Okay? So again, these are the areas na pwedeng maging concern ninyo pagdating doon sa tanong na may kinalaman doon sa research instrument ninyo. And then the next one, okay. So that's question number 8, that's validation. Question number 9, who will be the beneficiaries of your study? Parang pa-finish line na ito. Sinong mga beneficiaries ng study ninyo? And what is the significance of your study? Okay? Sino ang beneficiaries? The beneficiaries of your studies can be found in chapter 1 of your manuscript. Chapter 1 of your manuscript. Significance under the part entitled Significance of the Study. Under the significance of the study, the benefit of the study should be included in the introductory statement. And then, immediately after that, iisa-isahin sino-sino yung mga magbe-benefit sa study. Kung sino yung pinakamaraming benefit, siya yung mauuna. This is not arranged in alphabetical order. Hindi kagaya sa definition of terms or ODV ang tawag ng iba, operational definition of variables, which is arranged sa alphabetical order. Dito sa significance of the study, hierarchical. Meaning, kung sino yung pinakamaraming benefit, siya yung mauuna. Hindi din by position, hindi billing. Mataas yung position yung mauuna, tapos yung pinakamababang position yung last. Okay, so you can double check if this is what you use doon sa manuscript niyo. So kung ang pinakamaraming benefit na makukuha doon sa study ay student, mauuna ang student doon sa beneficiary. And then sino yung susunod? Susunod. Students, teachers, principal, and then hindi lang dapat tao ang nasa beneficiaries. Not just individuals, not just people or person. So pwedeng office, department, institution, organization. Okay? School, computer science department, organization, math club or ganito. Depende kung sino yung specific na magbe-benefit doon sa study ninyo. And ulitin natin, this should directly answer the beneficiaries of your study and then the significance of your study. Ano ang pwedeng i-contribute ng research ninyo kapag ito ay natapos ninyo? So, this can be answered by, again, referring doon sa significance of the study or referring back to the research gap. The research gap. Okay? So, this is the last question. This is question number 10. In relation to the significance of the study, was there any vacuum that will be filled? Meron bang mapupunuan na kaalaman yung research ninyo? So, assuming na meron kayong research gap, ang research gap malalaman nyo by reading literatures, studies, articles, if there were already studies conducted related to the research that you are conducting. So how do we define research gap? Research gap are questions that have not yet been answered by any other research. Ulitin natin, ang research gap ay mga tanong na hindi pa nasasagot ng kahit na anong research. Kaya gap, it's a vacuum. Meron pang bahagi doon na hindi pa nabibigyan ng kasagutan. So usually, yung mga researches, there are researches that really require, dapat may research gap yan, merong benefit na makukuha o merong additional knowledge or information that will be contributed after you have accomplished your research. So, going back, what is the significance of the study and the contribution ng study mo? Our study would be able to fill in the research gap for this particular question. And then babalik kayo doon sa SOP. Because based on our review of literatures and studies, there are no literature studies that have been connected or related to the study that we conducted. Therefore, there is a research gap that would definitely contribute to this particular institution once we have conducted and finished our study. Okay? Or in this case, tapos na yung study ninyo. Ito po yung benefit ng study namin. At ito yung na-contribute niya. So basically, that's it. So if you observe, parang ano lang yan eh. You just need to practice. If there's a question that will pop up, make sure that you can identify saang part, especially kung if you cannot remember or recall kung ano na yung laman ng part na yon, then by all means, relax, breathe, go to that part. Take your time but not too much time. Take your time but not too much time. If you need to read it briefly and fast and then immediately present your answer to your panel. So basically, this is how you go through the presentation of these of the answers to these questions, kung paano nyo dapat sagutin itong mga tanong na ito gamit yung inyong manuscript during your final research defense. So again everyone, thank you for continually supporting our YouTube channel and for watching this video. I hope I was able to contribute to your skill and I was also able to be part of your journey in research writing. Again, our advocacy is to make the research writing process hanggang sa defense ninyo na mas simple. So again, I would like to ask for your help to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click that notification bell to alert you when a new video has been uploaded. And on the side of your video, you're going to see recommended videos for the different parts of your research writing process, including defense. And then on the lower bottom part of your screen, you're going to see my icon, and if you click that, it will divert you doon sa pag-subscribe sa YouTube channel natin. Thank you very much everyone. Stay safe. God bless. Keep learning. See you on our next video. Bye!